Imagine inheriting a slice of paradise that's been in your family for generations, only for some power-tripping HOA busybody to slap a community access sticker on it like it's her personal playground. That's exactly what happened to me, Elias Crow, in the sleepy suburb of Willow Creek, where the air smells like fresh-cut grass and unspoken grudges. But when they tried to turn my grandfather's pond into their free-for-all kiddie pool, I didn't yell or sue right away. I waited, watched, and let the water do the whispering. They say every neighborhood has its heart, but in Willow Creek, it was my pond. Not some fancy man-made feature with LED lights and synchronized fountains. Oh no. This was a natural gem, dug out by my great-grandfather back in the 30s with nothing but a shovel, sweat, and a dream of self-sufficiency. He dammed a little stream, created a reservoir that fed our family farm through droughts and dust bowls. Over the years, as the suburbs crept in like kudzu on a fence, the farm shrank, but the pond stayed our pond, with deeds dating back to FDR's fireside chats, clearly stating the water, the bed, and the control valve were Crow property. Private. Untouchable. My grandfather passed it to my dad, who taught me how to read the ripples like a weather report. Elias, he'd say, squinting at the surface on a crisp morning. That shimmer means the overflow's flirting with full. Ease her down before she gets feisty. We'd adjust the old iron wheel in the pump shed, a rusty beast that groaned like an old-timer telling war stories. Summer, we'd keep it high for the wildlife and the occasional family dip. Winter, draw it low to catch the runoff without overwhelming the banks. It wasn't just water. It was rhythm, legacy, the kind of thing that makes a man feel rooted in a world of cookie-cutter McMansions. Willow Creek Estates started as a whisper in the 80s, a cluster of homes with white picket fences and bylaws thicker than a phone book. By the time I inherited the place in my 50s, the HOA had ballooned into a mini-government, complete with elected busybodies who patrolled for unpainted mailboxes and unauthorized bird feeders. I kept to myself, living in the old farmhouse on the hill overlooking the pond, which formed the natural boundary between my land and the development. The HOA line stopped at my fence, but you'd never know it from the way they'd eye my water like it was communal coffee. I'd wave politely at the joggers who looped the neighborhood paths, ignoring how their gazes lingered on the pond's glassy surface, probably imagining their kids splashing around without an invite. Rumors floated like lily pads. That old Crow guy's hoarding the best view. Why doesn't he share? It's basically part of the scenery. I heard it all at the corner store, where Mrs. Patel would cluck her tongue and say, "Elias, they're saying you're antisocial." I just smile and buy my coffee, thinking, let them talk. Words are wind, deeds are stone. But wind can turn into a storm. Started subtle, like most HOA dramas do with a newsletter. Glossy paper, full-color photos of smiling families at barbecues, and buried on page 3, exciting updates for Willow Creek amenities. There it was, a cartoon map showing my pond relabeled as Community Reflection Pool, with dotted lines for a proposed walking trail skirting my shoreline and a tiny icon for future kayak launch. I stared at it over breakfast, coffee going cold. Who the hell decided my grandfather's sweat equity was now a community perk? No call, no knock on the door, just this passive-aggressive proclamation, signed by Karen Whitaker, HOA president. Karen was the queen bee of Willow Creek, mid-40s, Pilates-toned, with a bob haircut sharper than her tongue and a smile that said, "Bless your heart," while plotting your downfall. She'd risen through the ranks by enforcing rules like no visible trash cans on non-pickup days, with the zeal of a traffic cop on quota. Everyone knew her backstory. Divorced real estate agent who treated the neighborhood like her listings, always enhancing value by micromanaging lives. I didn't panic. Instead, I dusted off the old file box in the attic, the one with yellowed papers smelling of pipe tobacco. Deeds from 1932, water rights permits stamped by the county, surveys marking the high water line like a sacred boundary. The pond's overflow easement extended into what was now HOA land, meaning in heavy rains or when I cranked the valve, the water could legally creep up to that line without me owing a dime. It was all there, black and white, recorded and unbreakable. I scanned it all, emailed copies to my lawyer buddy, Hank Morales, who'd handled my dad's estate. Elias, Hank chuckled over the phone. This is gold. They've got no claim. But watch, they'll try the greater good angle. Sure enough, the first official letter arrived a week later, embossed with the HOA seal like it was royal decree. Dear Mr. Crow, it read in that faux-polite font, as stewards of Willow Creek's harmony, we request reasonable access to the adjacent waterway for resident recreation. Failure to cooperate may result in fines or escalation to preserve community standards. Escalate? To what? A bake sale boycott? I replied with a certified packet. Copies of everything, plus a polite note saying, the pond is private property. Please respect the boundaries as per county records. Signed, Elias Crow. No drama, just facts. Karen's signature came back on the receipt, her loops all flourish and fury. No apology, no back down. Instead, the bulldozers rolled in, not on my side, but close enough to shake the china in my cabinets. They cleared a strip of common area right up to my fence, grading it flat for what the signs called Serenity Trail Extension. Workers in hard hats eyed my pond during lunch breaks, tossing sandwich wrappers that floated like accusations. Billboards popped up along the main road, Willow Creek, where nature nurtures, with photoshopped images of families picnicking by my water, a fake dock jutting out like they'd already claimed it. I overlaid the county GIS on my computer. Yep, their trail dipped below the high water line in spots. Arrogance or ignorance, with Karen, probably both. She'd been overheard at the annual meeting boasting, that pond's wasted on one old man. Imagine the property values with shared access. The whispers turned to shouts. Online, in the Willow Creek Facebook group Karen moderated, posts bloomed like weeds. Eccentric hermit blocking progress. Unsafe eyesore. What if kids fall in? Anonymous. Of course. But I recognized the phrasing from Karen's newsletters. I stayed silent, logging screenshots, letting the pot simmer. One evening, as I checked the valve routine maintenance, mind you, I spotted fresh scratches on the lock plate. Tool marks, like someone had poked around thinking I wouldn't notice. Trespass? Sabotage? I installed a trail cam, the kind hunters use, hidden in the bushes. Hank filed a complaint with the sheriff's office, copying the HOA board. Potential vandalism, he wrote dryly. Karen's response? A community email blast, addressing misinformation. The board is committed to safety and transparency. Reports of issues at the pond are unsubstantiated and may stem from resistance to positive change. That's when the real fun began. A young guy named Tyler, barely out of college, slipped me a USB at the diner one morning. He looked like he'd seen a ghost, eyes darting. I'm the HOA's junior surveyor, he muttered, sliding into the booth. They hired us for the trail project. We flagged flood risks big time. Told them to pull back or elevate. But Karen said, adjust for viability. Here's the original report. I plugged it in later, elevations, projections, bold warnings about the easement. High water events could inundate proposed areas, it screamed. The filed version? Sanitized. Risks downplayed. Tyler whispered. My boss caved, but I couldn't sleep. Don't rat me out. They're vicious. I patted his shoulder. Kid, you're the hero here. Hank grinned like a shark when I handed it over. This is their Achilles heel. Elias. Fraudulent filings? Game changer. I called in old favors. My pal Reggie, a retired civil engineer who'd fished my pond since we were kids, came over with his toolkit. Let's verify the math, he said, measuring flows and sketching schedules. Quarter turn every 10 minutes to start. Then ease up. The dam's solid. Your granddad built her like a tank. He nodded approval. Do it gradual, and nature takes the blame. But honesty time, I thought about the innocents. Like the Johnsons, new family on the lowest lot, toddler in tow, probably sold on pond views by Karen's slick pitch. I mailed an anonymous tip, check your flood zone docs. Independent survey advised. Next day, word spread, Karen visited them personally. All smiles and upgraded HOA perks to close the deal. That sealed it for me. No more Mr. Nice guy. Tuesday dawned gray, wind whispering secrets through the willows. Most lots were sold signs staked like flags of conquest, a few moving vans rumbling in. I brewed coffee, grabbed a folding chair, and headed to the pump shed. At 9 a.m., I gripped the wheel, cold iron biting my palms like a handshake from the past. Clunk. Quarter turn. The water side, a subtle shift in the overflow's hum. I sat on the hill, binoculars in hand, watching. The pond rose slow, polite almost, lapping at the new gravel path like a curious dog. By 11, it kissed the edge of the Serenity bench they'd installed, right in the easement. Noon, water nibbled at fresh sod, turning it to mush. Across the way, a contractor in a vest pointed, yelling into his radio. Then came the golf cart cavalry. Karen, hair helmeted against the breeze, flanked by two board members looking like they'd rather be golfing. She screeched to a halt at my fence, heels sinking in the softening ground. Crow, what the hell is this? You're flooding our trail. Her voice pitched high, clipboard waving like a battle standard. I leaned on the wheel, casual as pie. Morning, Karen. Just managing my pond, per the deeds you ignored. That trail of yours? It's in my flood zone. Legally, she puffed up, face reddening under the foundation. This is sabotage. We'll fine you. $500 a day for nuisance. Think of the children. The irony hung thick, her children angle while building in a floodplain. Her sidekick, a paunchy guy named Bob, chimed in, public interest. Elias. Cooperation builds community. I offered thermoses. Coffee? It's fresh. They declined, fuming as I gave another turn. Karen lunged forward, hand outstretched like she could stop physics. Stop that right now. Our eyes locked. Mine calm, hers wild. She froze, backed off, muttering about lawyers. By afternoon, my phone exploded. Voicemails from HOA attorneys. Cease immediately texts. I ignored them, watching the water claim its due. The trail vanished under a shallow mirror, benches floating like lost buoys. A sheriff's deputy ambled up around 4, hat in hand, looking apologetic. Mr. Crow, complaints about flooding. I handed him the binder. Deeds, surveys, Reggie's notes. He flipped pages, whistled low. This seems civil, sir. Not criminal. HOA stuff's a headache. He left with a nod, glancing at the rising pond like it was in on the joke. Dusk painted the water gold, full to the high mark my grandfather penciled. Across the pond, lower lots gulped water, driveways slick, basements weeping. No catastrophe, just inexorable truth. Karen's billboard, "Welcome to Serenity," tilted drunkenly, half submerged. The next day, court, HOA lawyers in suits shinier than their arguments, pleading emergency injunction. Irreparable harm, they wailed, flashing photos of soggy lawns. Hank countered with the binder Bible, chronological proof, Tyler's affidavit, anonymous, but damning, Reggie's testimony on safe ops. The judge, a no-nonsense vet named Ellis, at Karen's team. You built below documented lines? Ignored warnings. Karen stood, prim, for community enhancement, Your Honor. Modern needs evolve. Judge Ellis banged the gavel. Denied. Laws not elastic for pretty renderings. The fallout? Glorious. Buyers revolted. Class action suits flying like confetti. Insurers smelled blood on the altered surveys, pulling coverage. Karen vanished from meetings, a PR flack issuing statements calling the pond a shared asset while misspelling my name. Creditors swooped, contractors bailed. Willow Creek's amenity rotted into moldy ghosts. The county begged, lower the water for demo? I negotiated. Slow drawdown to keep low lots swampy forever. Full restoration paid by them. Eco-experts only. They grumbled, signed. As walls crumbled, birds returned, chirping like victory anthems. Folks call it drowning the HOA, but nah, I just honored the line. The pond's back to peaceful, pump shed mossy and wise. Sometimes I touch the stone, whisper thanks to the old man. Word spread, developers now triple-check elevations. But last week, a flyer under my wiper, River Bend Estates, luxury by the stream, dotted lines eyeing downstream. Some never learn. So, tell me, if your family's legacy got labeled community property by a rule-obsessed Karen, would you crank the wheel or let them wade in? Who's the real villain, the quiet guardian or the loud enhancer? Drop your verdict below. Was justice served, or just desserts?